Not only do these new technologies begin to understand us, but they can listen to us now going forward. I'd like to bring onto the stage from Nuance Communications, Bill Shepard, who talk a little bit about the voice input and voice recognition side of what's going on in navigation and discovery. So they always do this to me. They send you in from the other side, and it's really quite a disturbing. But anyway, welcome, Bill. Have a seat. Grab the remote, and we'll talk about talking, I think, a little bit. So what is your company up to in terms of yielding a new way to sort of converse, if you will, with the machine?
Sure. So Nuance is not as well known a company as our size would suggest. We have about 15,000 employees in 65 countries, and our technology powers the voice recognition behind the leading cell phones in virtually every automobile, both recognition and text-to-speech, and then desktop, drag and dictate, and OmniScan, and many other technologies. So many of you probably use our technologies daily, but the Nuance name is not as well known as I would like.
And you've looked at this television world as a growth market, obviously.
TV is a terrific opportunity to bring voice. We've got more apps and more content all the time, but the technologies for discovering that content have not gotten better. Remotes get more complex, more buttons, not very intuitive. The user interfaces have multiple layers of menus and hidden options that are frustrating to find on a daily basis. Voice just cuts right through all of that and lets you ask for what you want, and there it is.
It's so interesting because we've all grown up with remotes, right? And I mean, tracing to the early days of television with the Zenith Space Command, I think they used to call it a 2-button remote, but they have gotten more complex, and so you cannot simplify that device. So show us a little bit about what you guys are creating.
So I see the screensaver came on, so let me see if I can correct that. And looks good. All right, so this is a really challenging acoustical environment, so I'm hoping that things will work well.
We're going to be very forgiving as an audience. It's very noisy here. Right?
In this case, I'm using a more or less standard remote that's got an embedded microphone and a push-to-talk button. Other ways of supporting this include simply using a smartphone or a tablet and integrating the voice input from that device and then carrying it over IP to both the device, the set-top box, as well as our servers where some of the processing happens. The most elegant way to do this is to embed microphones into the television, and then we have technology that can actually focus the beam onto the specific place that the speaker is sitting, cancel out the sound coming from the TV program, any other background noise, other people in the room speaking. Really remarkable technology that we can show you at our podium in the CableNet exhibit. But in this case, let's see if the demo gods are with me today. Show channel list. Now, what's ironic is with voice, you don't really need a channel list anymore. Watch CNN. Watch ESPN. Set volume to 20. What's on tonight? What's on Showtime tonight at 8? That one looks interesting. Record sex in an epidemic. Show me movies directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Jeez.
Show me movies with Emma Stone. Just the comedies. Let's not watch a movie. Play Modern Family. And then it's also easy to integrate internet technologies. Find Beyonce on YouTube. Play number 1 full screen. That reminds me, my anniversary is coming up soon. Find diamond rings on Amazon.com. And then I was walking the show floor and saw some terms I didn't understand. Find quadrature amplitude modulation on Wikipedia. Scroll down. Stop. Zoom in. Zoom in. For some reason, Zoom doesn't work so well.
If you say "damn it" at the end, does that help? Like zoom in,
Close.
damn it.
Send to Twitter. Imagine Park at the cable show is my favorite part of the show, period. Imagine Park is my favorite part of the cable show, period. Send. And that's the first time it hasn't got the dictation quite right. So that's just a brief example of what we can do with the voice navigation. And also you can imagine this technology is essential for accessibility. So visually impaired
Sure.
people, for instance, combine the ability to ask for things with vocalizing what's on screen. So instead of just seeing the movie, you could have it vocalize each movie as you scroll across.
Yeah.
And this becomes really a key way to allow people that otherwise would have difficulty with the remote.
So that was awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously, it was awesome. And I was impressed on a number of fronts, but just a couple reactions was how quickly you yield the instruction, how quickly what your command is shown on the screen. I've gone through that Quentin Tarantino exercise using a remote, and it's a multi-click
Yes.
process to finally get there.
And in this case, the technology, we're both trying to recognize in the device, in the TV or the set-top box, but we're also sending the audio to our servers, and they attempt to recognize. And every night we pull in the entire guide database, the entire VOD database, so we know what terms, new TV shows that come on, new actors, we can recognize those very accurately in the cloud. And if that connection is too slow, then we'll go with the recognition that's in the device. But in most cases, that latency is really quite short, as you saw. And we can get a much better job recognizing TV content.
I want to talk, Bill, about the car industry, believe it or not, because I think there's some interesting business model symmetry, perhaps. But who pays for voice-activated command services inside the interior of an automobile? Is that embedded into the price of the car I buy, or how does that work?
Yeah, today it is. I think it's certainly conceivable that we'll move to a world where applications are generating additional revenue.
Okay.
But I think for all but the lowest cost cars, it's kind of table stakes to have voice navigation as well as a safety measure.
So how do you see it playing in this industry, for instance? Because this is a cool gizmo. This is Jetson stuff,
Sure.
right? And so, is it something you can charge for? Is it a subscription service? Is it a one-time premium? How do you see these companies benefit?
Yeah, we have a couple of models for device manufacturers. It's technology that we license in the same way that you license 1,000 other things that go into the stack. For application developers, we have a program called NDev, as in Nuance Developer, that allows you to integrate our technologies at no cost during development, and then there's different tiers of pricing depending on how much support you want and how much server time basically you're going to use, but it's fractions of a penny for most of those transactions.
And then, what have you seen in other markets that you think apply here in terms of, is it a use it once, fall in love kind of an application? Do people build up usage over time, or what's typical?
That's tricky because there have been voice-activated products for a number of years now, but frankly, they didn't work all that well.
Yeah.
Part of that has to do with the ability to isolate the sound. Part of it is just how quickly the processors and the ability to recognize on the server have increased that accuracy. I think if people have a bad experience, then they're likely to forget about it, and it takes time to retrain people to really give it another shot.
It's funny, Zach. I think it's so true because I'm one of them who've had maybe not the best Siri experience at the outset, and then you sort of give it up. You abandon ship. So.
And there's no question that those technologies will keep getting better.
Yeah.
One of the interesting features we have is we can recognize who the speaker is. So in a home, we can identify, is it one of the parents, is it a kid, and we can then immediately put their preferences, their favorites, and do parental control. So if the kids are controlling the TV, they may not get access to things that the parents don't want them to have.
And finally, this is new to a lot of us here, so just give us a little bit of the sort of mathematical formula. How do you take a voice and turn it into a recognizable set of data?
We have
In
1,200
30
speech-
seconds, because that's how much time we've got
We have
left.
1,200 speech scientists on staff, and I have no clue how the sausage is made.
Okay,
but
well, by the way,
it's
I'm
amazing.
surprised they let you in not knowing the definition of qualm, but you made it past security nonetheless. That was fantastic, Bill. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much for being with us.